new one, Sora, I think is what it's called. Write me a hit song, write me a hit country song.
Yeah.
And then it just prints out a cookie cutter hit country song.
Right.
There's one guy I just actually just shared his video the other day. He is calling out and making it known that this is what's happening. And I've got one guy at work that every time I come in, every time, he's playing another AI song, another AI, and it drives me insane.
Yeah.
I want to just scream at I can't, but I just want to scream
Right.
at the top. It's not real.
Yeah.
You're listening to something that's fake. Nobody actually created that.
Yeah, but look at all the AI. I mean, they can take an AI and make a whole video out of it.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
it looks. The only reason I know it's different is it's too perfect and too clear. There ain't no mistakes anywhere. So you know it's a. I mean, all these videos that they're making that are all AI.
Yeah.
You know,
there's.
Sometimes technology can take us so far.
Yeah.
And it can be good or it can be bad.
It just depends on. It's like my whole thing with it is I wouldn't have necessarily such a big problem with it if it was not so outrageously popular that other musicians I'm not posting million views on YouTube. I know that. I'm not getting that. What I am getting at is there are guys that have wrote their own music and have went to Nashville and recorded it, or have went to a studio just locally and recorded it.
Right.
And are 10 times more talented than anything that a computer would ever come up with.
Right.
And they're not going to get as many views because you have more people concerned with what's the latest AI video coming out.
Right.
And it's the obliviousness of certain individuals to not be able to go to that YouTube page or that TikTok page and see that every thumbnail, every picture is the exact same picture.
Right.
Maybe a little bit different because AI can't get it perfect every time. But that picture is the same exact picture, and the songs all sound almost 100% the same. The videos that they're taking, like there's one of an AGT, and it's like all of the footage that they actually use from the actual show. You can tell there's different outfits on the judges. Those are from taken from different times.
And sometimes you got different. I mean, you got different faces doing it too. You know, I mean, their actual face comes through, or things like that. Which sometimes it's funny, sometimes not. But
there are funny videos that have been made with AI. I'm not docking that. I just don't think it's worth having data centers that are going to ruin communities either.
No, I don't either. But computers don't have emotions or feelings.
Correct.
So you can't have you can't write a song if you can't show. Songs are all about putting us in our feels and our emotions, whether they're making us feel good or whether when we're going through a bad time, you got a song that's going to lift you up. And, computers can't feel.
Exactly.
Computers don't have emotions.
Exactly.
So, you can definitely tell.
And they get these generic, like it's a blanket cover song about loss or love. And it's like, the lyrics are just not something that a normal human would say. It's,
right. Well, a lot of people, true work from the heart takes time.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
Patience. You can't, and nowadays a lot of people some don't have the time, or they don't want to, or they don't want to take that time to actually sit down and work and write a song,
Then don't do it. Don't.
Yeah.
But okay, either don't do it at all.
Right.
Because you don't have the time, or you want to be,
right.
That's. But don't corner cut and make other musicians pay for that.
Right.
Literally, because you're using a supplemental program to produce your music. It's not your music. It's the computer.
Right.
I'm even more okay with who was it? Do you know the story of Friends in Low Places?
Yes. Yeah.
A guy was in a bar, couldn't afford his bar tab.
Right.
He literally wrote the lyrics and the rights on a napkin, and then they just give it to Garth Brooks.
Yeah.
And everybody thinks, oh, well, that's a great Garth Brooks song.
Yeah.
Well, it's not actually Garth Brooks'
Right.
song. Somebody else wrote that.
Right.
I'm even more okay with that because I've experienced that there are a lot of great songwriters
Right.
that are just songwriters. They either don't want to or can't perform.
Right.
Or they don't have the voice for it. Or
Right.
like the guy that wrote Oceanfront Property.
Mhm.
I don't know if you've ever heard him actually sing it, but it's not George Strait's song. It's
Right.
It's his
Right.
song that he wrote, and he just sold
Right.
the rights to the company for George
Right.
Strait to be able to sing it, and he still gets a residual check.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great. But if you listen to him sing it, it's like, oh, I could see why George Strait's singing it, and you're not the one.
Right. You know, I mean, but that's a lot even in, because sometimes I like to just look up, you know, the meaning of a song or, you know, so there, I mean, and technology's great again, but even the congregational songs,
Yeah.
like, you know, Amazing Grace or
Mhm.
whatever, they were actually poems
Yeah.
or letters that were written to families.
And then originally put in it.
and then
put
put into music
Yeah.
and then put into, I can't remember the song we done a couple weeks ago, but it was I am blanking out, but it's been around forever. The song's been around forever.
Yeah.
But the person wrote it as a letter to his mother
Mhm.
because he had been engaged a couple times, lost both fiancés before they were, you
Right.
know, devastating wrecks, things like
Oh,
that.
goodness. Yeah.
And he wrote this as a poem to his mom, and now it's one of the oldest songs, you know.
I'll have to look that up. See what song that is.
Yeah, I cannot remember for the life of me.
I know, like, Amazing Grace was I believe he was a slave ship owner,
Uh-huh.
and eventually found the gospel.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's where Amazing Grace came
Yeah.
from, is he knew that he had.
Yeah, but a lot of the
Done a lot of
older
people
songs
wrong.
are just things that people have written down of trials when they're going in something in the
Right.
1700s, 1600s, whatever.
Right.
And then you have these great composers who come by and write the music to it, and then the rest is,
Yeah.
you know, history. So, I mean,
It's those songs that really do. Like I said earlier, they transcend time.
right,
Because we're still
Yeah.
singing those songs
exactly,
50, 60, 70, 80, 100 years later.
exactly. Yeah.
I think there's really something, and that's my whole thing about that. It's like none of these songs that are AI are going to last that long.
No,
It's
they're
like
not.
my songs that I wrote that are in my notebook in there. Those songs, people may not sing them. It may not be famous. They may not,
Right.
but they will last because they're wrote down
Right.
and they can be taught again and again.
yeah.
You know, that's where we learn repetition and practice, is because, like, you have to, if you want to get a song right, you do it 100 times and then do it 100
Right.
times more.
right.
You know, you want to get your set right, you want to get your transitions down, you want to get your
Right.
crowd energy correct. You know, you do it over and over and over, and it takes time, it takes practice,
Right.
but you're going to get there. You're going to eventually know that you can walk on that stage and play every part of your set.
Right.
And have the emotion, have the crowd reaction,
Right.
have them right there in the palm of your hand. And even in worship music, it's like, to an extent, it's not for you.
Right.
It's for God. I get that.
Right.
But you still want to have them engaged. You don't want to have everybody in the auditorium checking out and just, you know, they're all on their phones during praise and worship or something like
Yeah.
that. That would drive me crazy if I had stuff like that.
Right.
You know, I think there was one guy, which is one thing while there's preaching going on, but there was one guy that like just fell asleep the second
Right.
he comes into church. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude. Next thing you know, I'm singing at the top of my lungs. Like, you're gonna wake up.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, no, I think it is two different worlds, but there are a lot of similarities between the secular world and playing restaurants,
Absolutely.
venues,
Yeah.
and
And
playing in church.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. They do go hand in hand, but again, you know, like Sister Magruder, the only reason Heaven's Point of View came out was
Yeah.
because she was going through that issue with cancer,
Yeah.
you know, and then she'd come out and, you know, I
Yeah.
mean, sometimes people have to be in their lowest of lows
Yeah. For that
for that kind
That's
of
one of the best
music.
songs.
That is an amazing song.
I've ever heard. Yeah.
It makes me cry every time.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, people really have to be in the lowest of lows.
Yeah.
And you're going to have people that don't interact with you.
Right.
Believe me, you're going to have them. They'll sit there, you know, and do not move, not do nothing. You know, but hey, you're not there to entertain them. I'm not a cheerleader.
Right.
I'm not going to get up here and pump you up to make you stand up and clap or, you know, whatever. Right. Now, I may say stand up and, you know, let's do the song together or whatever, but I'm not up there to pump you up and, you know, I'm not a cheerleader. Right. I'm up there
and it also depends on the type of church, like Baptist churches or Catholic churches or, you know, it's like you're not.
Stuff is gonna happen.
Of course, if you want to walk into a graveyard, I guess go ahead.
Well, you know, I've been quite a few of them.
There's even Pentecostal churches that have been like that, though, you know, over time. It's like there's no one has any desire to, you know.
Well, we've showed up. We're here. We're in our pew. We've showed up. We've done our duty.
Right.
You know.
We came.
We came. We're here.
Yeah.
But, you know, the Bible says even the rocks are going to cry out in my name.
Right.
Cry out and praise.
Yeah, that's
and God created everything, even all the birds and, you know, every animal there is.
Right. If you don't do it, something will.
If you do not do it, something will. So I'm not going to get up there and be a cheerleader.
Right.
I'm going to get up there and lead them into congregationals and worship if I can, you know. And that's a big part of praise and worship that people don't understand. It's not to be seen and be heard. It's to help when the time comes for the sermon that your heart is ready to receive and hear the sermon. You're not just hearing it, but you got to receive it.
Yeah.
And that's the big part of praise and worship, or even any music in the church, honestly, is to get your hearts and your minds ready to receive the Word of God.
Yeah. There's like even, and I've seen pastors recently do this where they'll have, it's one thing praise and worship wise or even band wise to work on your sets together and to work on, okay, we're going to do How Great Is Our God, and then we're going to go into I'll Fly Away, and then we're going to go into, you know, whatever. It's one thing to do that. I think that it shouldn't all be on one person. However, I've heard recently, like, they call them pastoral teams.
Okay.
And so there are people that work for the pastor or for the church, and they're doing the research for the sermons and then bringing him, we got this month-long series of Walking with God.
Right.
And there's no, what are you doing?
Well, you know, I mean,
that?
A lot of preachers, they can go on YouTube, watch different other preachers, you know, and to try to get that would work. But I would hope it would be them not copying that other preacher's sermon the entire team.
Note for note.
However, I have seen that.
Yeah.
Where they will, because I've seen a video or I knew of that pastor personally preaching a message, and then you're preaching. I'm like,
that's the
wait
same
a minute.
sermon.
That is the exact same sermon. Nothing, you know. So I mean, it does go. People do that.
Right.
It's kind of crazy, you know, because when I was growing up, God gave the pastor the word for the church or the evangelist or whatever. Yeah. You're not following somebody else's sermon. I can see listening to a sermon to kind of get an idea and then maybe pray about it and see where, you know, hey, God, it's this, you know, but I know my pastor does a lot of his, and there's been times that I think even last week he had a sermon set up ready to go, but he said he got up and he wasn't feeling
it. Wasn't ready.
It was not that sermon, and he prayed about it, you know, and or he's had a sermon ready to go, but when it's time to step behind that pulpit, that's not the sermon he's going with. God had laid something else on his heart, you know. I think it's just the true, you know,
calling.
Calling. Yeah.
And so I know we have a lot of singers in our family, or did have a lot of singers in our family for sure. Grandpa sang.
Yeah.
And then you and Dad. T and Uncle Rex sang.
Yeah.
And then there's me.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool to come from, and that's where I always had my, influences coming from, was all of you guys. Seeing you guys with microphones in your hands and in the choir and in the praise and worship team, and T's playing drums. For a church.
Yeah.
It's like that kind of stuff was always really, really cool to me. I was always very interested in being on the platform, being in the music.
Right.
I always wanted to play the drums when I was a kid. I know that. But once I found guitar, I was like, this is a whole world for me to express myself, get my emotions out. Then once I started songwriting and actually putting my feelings on paper, whether they were happy or sad songs or whatever, it's like that expression for me changed so much in my life.
You picked up the guitar, fast. You got a guitar for Christmas, and then within the week, you're already playing a song because you go on YouTube and learn you listen to a song. That's my thing.
Yeah.
You listen to a song and you just kept practicing over and over and over, and in a couple of days, you've got that song down pat.
Yeah. So actually, that the first guitar I got, that sat for a year before I picked it up. I got it for Christmas when I was 12. I was 13 when we started going to that church.
Yeah.
And before I picked it, it sat and collected dust for a year. But yes, when I did pick it up, I started.
You just
I was like,
flew
I'm ready
with
to
it.
go.
Yeah, you just flew with it.
Like I said, I fell in love with it. I just and then I realized, like, hey, I can sing along with this, and I can find what works for me. And I started finding out what key. I usually sing in the key of G, or if I'm in if it's a half step down, like I keep it now, then I normally am am singing in the key of A or something like that, just because it fits my voice better. But it was something that I watched you do it for so many years, and then after the guitar, I wanted to pick up the piano, and that's definitely where you helped me out the most, is find middle C and follow the alphabet is all I could remember. And it was one of those things, it was so special to me and important to me because it's something that I watched you do for years. So that's where the dedication came from playing for me. And like you mentioned earlier, you think I'm not better than her, by the way. But the whole reason is because of you and because of what you instilled and because of the dedication, and because it's like, if you want to be better, you just have to practice. You have to you want to be better than that, practice more. You want to be better than that, practice even more. It's like, and so now it's to the point which you can even ask Trish, it's like hours and hours and hours. I will sit on that piano, or I will sit on the guitar, and I will go back over, or I'll sit on my mandolin. That's the other thing too, is I've learned other instruments over the years. Mandolin, bass, ukulele, saxophone, which I'm not. I only ever learned a scale on the saxophone, but that's one I always wanted to learn how to play. Such a fantastic instrument.
It is an amazing instrument for the right. You have a cousin. Well, great cousin.
Yeah.
You have a cousin. I have a cousin that she can pick up any instrument and play it like there is nobody's tomorrow. And her on the saxophone. Oh my word! She's
her
just
husband
amazing.
too, right?
Yeah,
Dennis and
Julie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they, I always knew that I wanted to play piano. I think it was in 2nd or 3rd grade, though. I guess I had a music teacher, and she had her piano in the classroom. So and we had a family member who, I had a great aunt who, she had a beautiful piano in her home, and I wanted to play. But at the time, Mom and Dad couldn't afford piano lessons, and we didn't have piano, couldn't do that. And I said, well, can't we just go every weekend to Aunt Hazel's and go, and we're in St. Louis, and Aunt Hazel's in Illinois, and she's like, no, honey, we can't go every weekend. So they got me a little keyboard that had all the little keys on it so that I could kind of practice. And then my music teacher at school would help me with certain songs. So I think that's where it really came into learning. But then again, going into college, and back then schools did have pianos, and that's what your music class was.
Right.
You're playing on the piano. Yeah. So, and then I just kind of picked it up from there. So it's just, I'm still learning. I've had my, our music director show me some new things too. So I'm still learning, and it takes time, but you're never going to be perfect. You're always going to mess up. There's always something to learn. Yeah. Always, you're never too old to learn.
And just, like I said, your passion for music is what sparked my passion for music by far.
That's amazing. Far. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, you're the way that I watched you perform, which you weren't performing, right? But you know what I mean,
right?
The way I watched you play, the way I watched you sing. People tell me all the time, like, "Oh my gosh, you get after it. Like, you put so much heart, so much emotion." I was like, "Yeah, it comes from my mama." Like, that's all, Mom. Because I watched you just put fire into almost anything that you did. It's like there's some songs you didn't even really want to sing, and they'd still come out like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Just, the fire, and that's all I can say is like the fire and the passion, and you still do have an anointing for worship music, and it's very, very, like, you can almost feel it. You can tell that's
right.
That's where you shine. As far as I think it's definitely what you were meant to do. I think that's definitely what you were
watching. Yeah, that kids. And teaching kids. that and teaching
your
kids.
Your teaching career ought to be put up in a Hall of Fame somewhere.
I think it should be. I've held every position: cook, teacher, director.
You've helped so many kids too. Like, I don't know if teachers ever look at, because I don't really. I hated school. Don't get me wrong, but I did have a couple teachers that I loved. And they really did make an impact on my life. And I hope they know that they made an impact on my life.
Right.
I had a guidance counselor, Matt Morgan in Ziegler. And it's like, he made one of the most positive impacts on my life. He was always generous. He was always kind. He was always understanding about what was going on. Yeah. And, if I had an issue, all I had to do was go to Mr. Morgan and it was taken care of.
Right.
And I didn't have to, and it's like, stuff like that. I had science teachers and I had history teachers that taught me a lot, and they really do. I don't think you really understand how many kids' lives you impact on a regular basis.
Well, and that's the goal. And, I look back now on Facebook, and some of them that I taught when they were 1, 2, 3 years old, they're in college, or they're married, or they're having babies. And it makes me feel so old. And I'm like, good grief, how is this possible? But that's why I do it. I don't do it for the paycheck.
Yeah, and
I don't, and not that I'm, I've worked for every wage there is, and but I just love my job. I love helping families the best that I can, and that's one of the reasons that I did go to Head Start, is because it's it's more rewarding than daycare. Don't get me wrong, but Head Start's so much different. We are so involved.
Yeah.
With the family, and we do everything to help that family succeed, so that when they do get to elementary school, that their educational years are going to be easier, because we can help them succeed. And I always hope that I have an impact on my kids,
Yeah, you do. You definitely do, for sure. Absolutely.
But that's just, that's part of it. And I just love my job, and I love kids, that's just, I guess that's why God made me, to love kids and take care of kids.
I think you've definitely had not just an impact, but you make an impression on any kid and anybody's going to. But the more you're around them and the more time that you spend with them, it's like you imprint part of yourself onto these children.
Right. You can't just go in there and expect kids to like you.
Mm-hmm.
And also follow the rules and do. But, you have to make a bond and a connection with these kids and the families. Yeah. If you don't make that bond And then when you do make that bond, then that child's going to respond to you, whether it be positive, negative, whatever.
Right.
But I don't know. For some reason, it was either I was going to be daycare or early childhood, or I was going to be a pediatric nurse for Cardinal Glennon Hospital in St. Louis.
Oh, wow.
And
probably would have made a little more money there.
I probably would have made a lot more money there, but I get attached to kids too easily.
Yeah, that's true.
So
having somebody that's
family, because a family said you're going to see kids die. You're going to see kids,
it's not
going
through
so much,
to deal with. Trauma.
I get too attached to kids too easily. I don't want to see, and I've seen things that I wish I didn't, in a child's life. But I don't think I could actually
handle that.
Take care of kids day in and day out, and then they pass away. I'd been lost.
Yeah,
it'd taken one, and I would been.
It takes a very, very strong person. Anything in the medical field, but
right?
For children, especially, I think it's like any normal human being that has feelings and has a heart, and it's like that you don't want nothing to happen to the kids.
But you gotta have that. You gotta have that true love and affection for kids. And
absolutely.
I just think that it's great that I've had a couple kids when I was, that they're in college now, and they've reached out to me on Facebook.
That's really cool.
And
that's the best feeling.
That is the best feeling in the world is when they reach out and they say, hey, or they'll call me by, it was Kiki forever from McLeansboro, and, they're on Facebook, hey, Kiki, or, or I'll say, Kiki loves the miss, or whatever. But man, to see those little ones.
That's wild. That's awesome.
Funny.
That's really cool. I seen, there's one every time I go over to McLeansboro that I see them and they always say hi to me. You're Kiki's son. Yeah, absolutely.
The whole town who knew Kiki was, regardless, just because of the
name. So switching gears, and we're going to wrap it up here, but if you had one piece of advice to give to young musicians just starting out, what would be one piece of advice that you give to a musician?
Never give up.
Yep.
Never give up. If it's something that's truly in your heart and that is your passion, never get up.
Yeah.
No matter what it may seem like, the lows, the highs, just never give up.
Yeah.
If that's your true, you got to have a true passion for anything.
Right.
So if that's truly your passion, then never give up.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, Mama, I love you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will see you all next time on the Musicians Talk podcast. Thank you.